Good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, March 6, 2024, and this regular meeting of the Sandpoint City Council is now called to order in the council chambers at City Hall, 1123 Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. For the record, I am Mayor Jeremy Grimm presiding. Also present are Council President Jason Welker, Councilors Deb Rule, Justin Dick, Kyle Schreiber, and Pam Duquette. Councilor Joe Espiro is absent. Under the city's adopted code of ethics and civility, as the presiding officer, I'm to identify the law enforcement personnel in the room who will be serving as Sergeant at Arms for this evening's meeting. That is Police Chief Corey Kuhn in the back, looking very fine with the sport coat on. If everyone will please stand, we will recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, announcements and reports. We'll start, let's start with a quick staff report. I guess we'll start with Maeve. Anything to bring us up to speed on? Maeve is our Parks, I'm going to get your title wrong, Maeve, Parks Program Manager, Planner, Development Director. Sorry.
Planning. Thank you very much, Mayor. Just a quick update. The building, the pickleball, tennis, the Russell Center is moving forward, and we had an opportunity to revisit the court layout. And I've been working closely with the tennis and pickleball community on that. We've landed on a kind of a reconfiguration from the original it was 4 pickleball courts to every tennis court layout. So now it's 2 pickleball courts every tennis court with pickleball courts in the middle for a total of 14 pickleball courts and 4 tennis courts. So we landed on this configuration, and we've been working with consultants from Barry Dunn, as well as all the coaches and all the supposed experts in the community, and anyone that really has come forward over the last 2 years talking about pickleball, as well as we've worked with the USTA, which is the United States Tennis Association, and the United States Pickleball Association. So I feel like we've landed on a good configuration. I'm going to be having a public meeting next Wednesday for Q&A with the architect and myself. It will be at Community Hall from 5:30 to 7. It's not necessarily to talk about anything other than the court layout, but if the community has other questions, you're welcome to attend, and we'll be putting out a notice. We just got it scheduled. So there is, just to let you know, there is another meeting happening here that night. So if folks are trying to make it to both, it's more of an informal meeting at mine. So you can come later, you can come earlier and just ask your questions and see the boards with the layout. And yeah, we'll have all the graphics there and everything like that. Otherwise, I've been working quite a bit on the watershed. We're getting that hashed through on what we're going to be doing for this upcoming year. So it looks like we've now got it approved to do we're calling it the flyover, which is a feature that's going to be at Switchback 4. It's really exciting. It's going to separate the downhill riders from the pedestrians or the folks that are entering into the watershed and accessing the Forest Service parcel. So this is a really big moment because it'll be a structure. It's essentially an overpass type of a bridge structure. It is a structure, and it was approved by structural engineers. So we've done our internal review, and I think we're ready to move forward with that with the Ponderay Peddlers. And something exciting about that project is the wood is being milled locally by one of our neighbors, and also a father in town, Tyler Salvage, and his family also owns the Outdoor Experience shop. And so it's just really exciting that a lot of these contracts that we have are putting money into the local contracting community and helping to support local families, and particularly families with children who will ultimately be playing in the watershed. So we're really excited about that. And then we're working with the Sandpoint Nordic Club on the opportunities in front of us that are based on the outdoor recreation, or on the recreation plan from the watershed. And we have some pretty important meetings coming up in the next couple of days. So stand by. We'll be giving you an update over the next few weeks as to where that lands, but it looks like we're going to try and get the Sandpoint Nordic Club some access to higher elevations within the watershed that's based on the watershed recreation plan that was adopted. So we're working with our partners at Schweitzer Properties and also with Altera or Schweitzer. So it's a really big moment for trail development in the community, but also partnerships. So we're now realizing the fruits of our labor during that planning process. So yeah, more to come in coming weeks, and I will be back on the 20th. So any questions?
Thanks, Maeve. Good luck with that meeting with the pickleball and tennis players. And any questions for Maeve from the council?
All right, thank you
Thanks,
very
Maeve.
much. Thank you.
Christine, are you back there? Just a brief update on building and related activity in the city.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I have a quick update on some building permit activity. We have a few projects that are going through final inspections or are really close to final. One is the Big Toy condos. That's 107 units on Schweitzer Cutoff and North Boyer Road. Those are not residential. They're not residential condos, they're storage condos. And then the Ridges at Cedar is putting final touches on their project, and their units are all finalized. So that'll be 20 residential units that will come online real soon. And the smart storage at Baldy Mountain Road and Boyer is going through final right now also. And that's a 2-story conditioned storage. We have a few projects that are really close to permitting, so the review process is wrapping up for another smart storage, phase 2 over on GN Road, and that's phase 1 is already there. Phase 2 will add about 17 more buildings to that storage. And the Tribute, pretty exciting project, and they're getting through review. The Tribute is that project, that multifamily mixed use building that's going to be just north of the Super One. And there's, the project is 2 buildings, but they're just permitting the first building for right now. And that'll be 73 residential units above some commercial space. And so those are coming up. We also have quite a bit of single family residential house activity starting to, we're getting near that building season when it's time for people to start putting in houses again, when we start to be able to pour without running ground heat. So we have lots of new single family residential permits coming up for Madison Meadows and phase 2 of University Place, which is called the Base Camp, the Williams Homes houses. So
could you tell me where that new smart storage is?
yeah, so there's 2 smart storage projects. One's just wrapping up. That's
One on
the 2-story
Boyer.
one on Boyer and Baldy. And then if you just north of Division on GN Road, there's an existing smart storage, which is about 9 buildings right now. And it's a 3-phase project, so they're tackling phase 2.
Thanks.
Thanks, Christine. Any questions for Christine?
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Appreciate it. Who else? Holly, are you back there? You want to give us just a brief update on some of the many things you've been working on?
Good evening. Just a brief update for you. We did hold our open house for the Pine and Fifth Signal project. That was Thursday, February 22nd. We had an afternoon session and an evening session. It was attended by 3 City Sandpoint staff, myself, Brandon Staglin, and Eric Bush. We also had someone from ITD come to the evening session, which was nice. So we were all available to answer questions. We had over 20 members of the public attend. All of the comments that we got from that open house are online on the project page. They're there for you to look at. And fingers crossed, bid opening is next Tuesday, so we're hoping to get some good numbers. That's what I have for you.
And Holly, just for the public, if they're not familiar with the projects page, can you walk us through the navigation, main city page and?
Yeah, there's a couple ways you could get to it. So if you went to sandpointidaho.gov, down under the news section, you'll find the Fifth and Pine traffic signal project page. If you click that, there will be a link to our ClearGov project page, which will take you directly to that projects page. We keep that updated through design, through construction. So once we get this project underway, there's going to be a lot of updates there. The other way you could find it is maybe more roundabout if you're looking for all of our projects. I think the way you'd route to it is on our homepage. We have a projects page on the left-hand side under finance. It's actually in our budget book. So you can find it on our budget book or under our news section.
Anything else going on? I mean, I know you have a lot going on. Anything
I'll
else?
be here March 20th. We'll hopefully have some good numbers on that Pine and Fifth bid that you guys can consider award for construction. And then Cedar Street reconstruction. It's between Lincoln and Division. It was the pavement rehab project that we identified for FY24. That's what we would start design on. So that contract, we're under negotiations right now to start design with an engineering firm. And that contract, we're wrapping it up, and that would come before you also on March 20th.
I know that street has had a lot of use in its life.
Yes.
Any questions for Holly? Thanks so much, Holly. Appreciate it. Chief, anything? No, you're good. Everyone's safe. Protecting, serving. Good. Good deal. I don't think there's anyone else. I know the fire chief's going to talk to us later. With that, are there any announcements from council?
Mr. Mayor, I do. have
Councilwoman
one.
Duquette.
Friday, March 8th is International Women's Day, and there will be a celebration of this day on 3rd and Cedar, a rally calling on restoring reproductive health care. And then on Saturday, March 9th at the community hall, they will continue from 10 to 3 with speakers and food and camaraderie.
Thank you, Councilwoman
You're
Duquette.
welcome.
Any other council announcements? Hearing none, I've got just a few. I just want to update the council and the public, a little more encouragement. As you may know or recall, we have kicked off total revision of all of our citizen committees, including ADA, Parks and Rec, Bike Ped, Urban Forestry, so far, and sustainability. We've got 3 interested citizens for the sustainability, 2 for the ADA, 3 for Parks and Rec, and 9 for Bike Ped. So Bike Ped seems to be the popular commission or committee. Just to wrap around on that, we need some more folks. Those committees, we're going to need about 9 per committee from the public. So pass the word, encourage your friends. It's not well paid, but it's really important to act as a conduit of information from the citizens to the city and from the city to the citizens, and to really make our community members part of this process, which we call government. So really hope we get some more applicants or interested parties. And those committees will be refined. That's going to take some changing to our code and our ordinances. Heather Upton is leading that effort, and we can expect probably in about maybe the March 20th meeting to have some code there where Councilwoman Duquette, you can review, insert, recommend, suggest changes, whatever you like, put your fingerprints on it, and or any other council member, but I know you have things you want to get in there. Anyways, and then for the public and the council, we are updating our website. It's one of the things that is sometimes a frustration for people trying to get information. Staff is working with a consultant to do that. This will be, I think, the 3rd website we've ever had. The first, the age of the internet, to about 2014, and then our current offering, and this will be a refresh that should make it much more user-friendly and make information far more accessible to people. So that's going to be exciting. Probably come online June or July. So, good stuff there. That's all I have, other than the fact that I mentioned the council. I did tour the wastewater plant yesterday morning. And for the public's benefit, that plant is older than I am and older than most of the people in this room. So it's in pretty bad shape. I need to give a call out to our staff down there. They are MacGyvers in action every day, literally dealing with broken equipment, failed equipment, pulling motors, patching pipes, valves, just trying to make it work. This is more of a heads up to the community. It's my #1 priority as mayor to get that plant situation addressed. And we will be moving forward with some engineering assessment and then hopefully a preliminary engineering plan, and then going out for public awareness. And ultimately, the voters are going to have to consider a bond for us to make those improvements to that plant. So just a heads up what's coming down the pike. With that, let's move on to the next item. At this time,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilwoman Rule.
I just wondered if you could update us on any of the job open positions as far as the public works and planning and stuff.
Sure. Public Works Director, we still have that opening out there. As I mentioned, I pulled back from the headhunter. It was a significant amount of money to use a headhunter to find that position. We did get a couple of applicants, but it's less robust than I would have hoped, the response. Part of that is related probably to the comp and the responsibilities. So internally, we're discussing whether we do consider re-engaging with a headhunter. In the interim, Holly and Brandon are handling most of our, and Eric, our internal engineering and project. And our plant operators are running the operations at the water and wastewater plant. And it's a position we definitely want to fill, especially as we go towards the wastewater treatment plant design. In the back of my mind, I'll say if we're not able to attract a candidate shortly, I've been in touch with the former utilities director, Greg, and there are some just very general conversations about potentially contracting with him just to manage the plant design element and help take that lead with any engineers we had hired. So that's Public Works Director. Planning and Community Development Director, we had 2 finalists and did interviews. There's department level interviews of the candidates this week, and I would expect us to be making a job offering to one of those candidates maybe tomorrow. So that's pretty exciting. If not tomorrow, Friday, for sure. So really excited to have that position filled. It's going to be really just a lot of horsepower and take a lot off of everyone's plate. With that, I think the council's aware, the public may not be. Amy Tweeton, our planner, today was her last day. Amy is going to be going back to the community she used to work in to be the planning and community development director, I believe. So Amy was great, sad to lose her. But that ties with Sarah, who moved for a better position to be closer to her family a week prior. So as of right now, a few minutes ago, the city is without a city planner. I have a background in that, as many of you know, but there are some limits on what I can do to not corrupt myself in these files that come in. So I've already started doing planning review for things like business licenses and answering land use questions to the public. But we probably won't be as responsive as I'd like to be on some of our special use and subdivision permits for a couple weeks. So I'm working with the attorneys and considering maybe a contract planner in the interim to help as the planning community developer director comes online to kind of fill out those needs. Parks supervisor.
Well, not to interrupt you, but I just did. I apologize. So are we seeking to fill the other staff positions? Do
Yes.
we? Have Public?
Yeah. Oh, thank
Okay,
you.
all right. You skipped that, so I was, okay.
Amy was our senior planner.
Right.
That position is out, and as of today, we have not had any applicants for that. Sarah's position, the planner one, we've had 5 or 6 applicants, so we are starting interviews this and next week on those. So that's exciting. It looks like that one should be I don't want to say easier to fill, because what we're finding with a lot of folks is relocating to the area with the housing cost and everything else. It's difficult to sell a house with a mortgage of 3%, move and buy a house with a mortgage of 7%. As you can understand, it's a bit of a gridlock. So yeah, I'm optimistic we'll have the full planning department running at full speed, at least half speed within 2 weeks, and then full speed, hopefully in a month and a half, 2 months. So parks supervisor is another position that was vacated prior to my arrival. Jason Wiley was the former Parks and Rec supervisor. We have made a job offer to one of the applicants. We will hear tomorrow on their response. So I'm hopeful that they accept the position, and that will get us fully staffed in the Parks and Rec area of things. So if you don't know, or if the public doesn't know, we do have a bit of a skeleton staff, and just kudos to Cammie, who's kind of juggling her regular roles and Parks and Rec and Mortgage and coaching and RVs and all sorts of things. So we're trying to do everything we can with the staff we have, and everyone's leaning in. So very good. And then the last position, we did bring on a new hire this week. I forget the acronym under the old org chart, but basically general services. This is an admin assistant that's going to support HR, contracts, and procurement, and also work with future head of information services, that division department. Haley is her name. She's on her second day today. We brought in a new permit tech, Olivia, who started this week or last week. So we've had some hires. It's good. We've got some more positions to fill, but we're making progress. Isis, our human resource director, is working around the clock. It's a lot. The interviews, the application review, the re-interviews, the job offers, the onboarding. It's a lot for Isis to be juggling right now. So I'm glad she got some assistance. I think that covers most everyone. With that, at this time, we'll take a few minutes. No, public forum is the next item. Next on the agenda is the public forum portion of the meeting, which allows the public to address the council and myself regarding items listed on the consent calendar or on any topic not included on the agenda. If anyone in chambers wishes to speak now during the public forum or during any other portion of the meeting, you must complete a comment sign-up form and hand it to staff. If you're on Zoom and wish to speak during general public forum, please raise your hand on Zoom at this time. To accommodate those who wish to speak on general items at the public forum, as well as those who wish to speak on specific business items on our agenda, a total of 20 minutes will be dedicated to the public forum at the beginning of the meeting. If you'd like to speak and did not have the opportunity to do so, we will provide that opportunity by reopening the public forum at the end of our regular meeting. I'd like to make everyone aware that the city of Sandpoint does have a policy on public meeting decorum. The rules are posted here in the chambers at the entrance doors. In summary, I would just ask that those participating in our meeting this evening, please be pleasant and respectful, not make derogatory comments or statements about others, including city staff, not be boisterous or disruptive, no calling out, clapping, holding up signs, shouting, anything like that. Please note that the council cannot take testimony on any planning related matters outside of official public hearings. Public comments need to be kept to comments only. Please no questions or debate. Each individual is allowed 3 minutes during the public forum portion. You cannot share or donate time during the public forum. You can do that at public hearings. You're always welcome to contact me, the mayor, during regular business hours if you have any additional questions or concerns. During the public forum, when it's your turn, please state your name and whether you reside in the city of Sandpoint. And with that, Madam Clerk, has anyone signed up to speak during the public forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Stacy Mueller.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Mayor Grimm, and hello, City Council. Well, my name is Stacy Mueller, and I really came here just to introduce myself. I am the new general manager of the Cedar Street Bridge, and I'm happy to report that on February 15th, the bridge was purchased by a friend of Sandpoint and a personal friend of mine. And we're excited to revive that iconic place that many of our visitors come to. And, you know, it is 2 blocks long, and we have a lot of businesses in there. And it is really our desire to work with the city. I just wanted to personally say that. But also, we just want to kind of build it back up to that 3rd place where, you know, the heart of those business owners that have been working so hard, they have a place to thrive. The city can come in, you know, with to find a place that they can gather and connect. And we just want to bring some elevation to the spirit, to the city. And so that's actually our goal. And I just want to take that time to introduce myself and say we're working hard. We have a lot ahead of us, but we are going to be doing a grand opening on April 27th. It'll be a re-grand opening. And that's all I have to say.
Stacy, thank you so
Uh-huh.
much.
I did want to say one more thing. I forgot. I brought Sherry. Sherry, come on over here. So Sherry is the owner of the Carousel, and she is also, her husband owns the Sandpoint Toy Store and the beautiful 501c3 creations that the whole city loves and adores. And I just have enjoyed my job the last couple of weeks, listening to those kids and those moms come and find a safe place to just connect and just play in the wintertime. And I brought her up here because she's gone through 4 owners. 4 different, okay, 6 different owners, but she still has held her torch high and she carries the heart of the city. And I really wanted to introduce her. So thank you so much.
Well, Stacy and Sherry, on behalf of the council and myself, thank you so much for your investment in our community and the new owners. It is truly the 3rd place. I think everyone in Sandpoint has taken a friend or a guest there on a rainy day
Yeah.
or to go shopping. It's a unique property, and wish you the greatest success and
Thank you.
future owners the greatest success. Thanks for all you
Thank
do.
you.
Yeah.
We're going to work with you
all
guys
of
too.
All right. Thank you.
Eric Nelson.
Hi, Eric.
Hi there, my name is Eric Nelson. I am a resident and in the spirit of working with the city, we're here to talk about the disc golf course. I've been involved with the Baldfoot Disc Golf Course since 2011. Sandpoint Disc Golf Association was formed in 2013. We just formed a nonprofit in 23, Great Northern Disc Golf. So I'm currently the president of that nonprofit, and just want to touch base, reconnect, say hi to the new faces, and congratulations new council members and Mr. Mayor. So a lot of this is review. We just want to reach out and partner with the city. So as for me, I've served on the Sandpoint Skate Park Committee from 2000 till the time it was put in the ground, and then judge skateboard contest for about a decade after that. I helped organize the Coeur d'Alene Skate Park group that got that park put in the ground. And I also helped build the original Schweitzer Terrain Park. So these kind of projects are big for me. I want to get this one locked in because I have another one in mind. So Baldfoot Disc Golf Course is a community effort that's paid for its own creation and maintains itself. It's been used heavily since 2012. If anybody's interested, we have a little bit of information as far as conservative estimate of usership. That's the only visual aid I brought with me. So this project, it covers the majority of the key focus areas that were identified as important to our community and are in alignment with the consulting firm Green Place consultation that we paid for as a city. Examples would be it preserves open green space, offers trail connectivity, preserves an amenity that already exists, is dog friendly, and provides needed park space in North Sandpoint. The usership has grown year after year, and the value really can't be measured in dollars. So we have a master plan. We're not done. That master plan involves multi-use other groups coming in. But currently there's 2 weekly leagues. And we just want to reach out once again and just say we look forward to partnering with the city and supporting, bringing in funding, partnering with angel investors, going after grants. All this stuff can't be done without a strong partnership with the city. So we want to reestablish that and get on the same page and hopefully preserve and finish what we started. Thanks for your time.
Eric, thanks so much. My only comment is, you heard me say we've got three applicants in the Parks and Rec Commission. That's a great way to engage and start to drive, so.
Yeah, Josh gave me one of these on the, that's what I'm talking about that.
Thanks for sharing, and look forward to learning more in the coming weeks and months.
Thanks for your time. We'll be in touch.
Janine Shepherd.
Well, Janine Shepherd, Bonner County. Just wanted to come and pray for you guys, and I'd love it if you would join me. Dear Lord, we come before you in gratitude and humility, asking for your blessing upon the mayor and council members. They carry a heavy load, and we ask that you help them to persevere under the pressures of the job. Bring them into close relationship with you and to feel their deep need for you. We ask that you make evident that what your will is on each item on the agenda tonight. We lift each item to you and we set aside our wills, Lord, and come into alignment with what you want for our city. We want to hear from you. We pray for the families of the mayor and council members that you show yourself to all of them and bring them to you. If there are any health struggles, we pray that you would heal them. If there are relational issues, we ask that you would mend them. If there are financial issues, we pray that you are the great provider for them. Cover them with your hand of protection and keep them close to you. You call us, Lord, to love our neighbors as ourselves, and today we are sitting shoulder to shoulder with our neighbors, the very ones you have called us to love. Help us to love others as we love ourselves. Help us, Lord, to glorify you with our lives. We trust you for the best outcome of all of our city matters, and we want Sandpoint to be a city set apart for you. Bring your glory here, Father. We are grateful for this beautiful place, and we thank you for all your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that is all who signed up to speak during public forum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That will conclude the public forum portion of this evening's meeting. Next, we will proceed with the consent calendar. For the record, the total amount of bills is $1,173,701.62, reflecting $345,298.52 for regular payables and $828,403.10 for payroll. Does the council have any questions, or are there any items the council wishes to remove from the consent calendar? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Welker, second by Councilman Dick. Any discussion? If not, there'll be a roll call vote.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Duquette,
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber,
Yes.
Counselor Welker,
Yes.
Counselor Rule.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
Madam Clerk. Moving on to old unfinished business. The next item is 7A, Annual Audit Report. Under the old business this evening, on September 20th, 2023, under Resolution 23071, Magnus McHugh and Company was engaged to perform the city's annual audit. The The auditors have completed their work and are before council this evening to present the report. I will now yield the floor to Finance Director Sarah Lenz to get us started. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Good evening. I wanted to first, before I introduce Laura, I wanted to show you quickly how to get to the ClearGov, our financial transparency page, as a reminder. If you on the main page, if you click under finances here, this goes to our transparency page. You can find multiple different things from our revenues, expenditures, our projects that was asked about tonight. This is where you can find the projects pages, our debt, and then also our checkbook that lists every single check that's been written out of this. So underneath this is the annual financial statement that I'm going to turn over. You can click here. And then I'll introduce Laura. She was our auditor, our lead auditor at Magnuson Mayhew. And she will take it from here to explain what an audit is, also then what the audit results are. We will then also open it up for questions if you guys have any, and then I'll quickly go over the rest of this report and where you can find things at.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you still hear me okay?
You can.
My name is Laura Parasita. I'm a senior manager at Magnuson McEwen Doherty. And we perform the annual audit for the city. And today I'll present the results of the audit to you and go over some changes this year as well that were required by new accounting pronouncements. So first, I just wanted to explain a little bit about what a financial statement audit is. So we perform both a financial statement audit and a single audit for the city. And in a financial statement audit, we perform tests on various accounts to obtain what we call reasonable assurance that about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. And then another thing to note is, as your auditors, we are required to be independent of the city. And then the single audit is required when the city has greater than $750,000 in federal expenditures in a fiscal year. The city has one of these, I want to say for the last 3 or 4 years. So there's been one for a while, but in this audit, we perform tests to provide an opinion on the city's compliance with those major federal programs. And so as we go through the presentation, we'll discuss both of those audit opinions, and I'll go through and just kind of explain to you what these different financial statements are presenting and the information in them. So does everyone have a copy in front of them to follow along?
You want me to pull that up, Laura?
Sure, that might be helpful.
You can find that link.
Oh, perfect. So Sarah, if you could scroll to page 1, the opinion. So I just wanted to point this out. This is the opinion that we issued on the financial statement audit. And the main paragraph I wanted to point out is the second one that actually lists the opinion. We have issued an unmodified opinion again this year, meaning that in our professional opinion, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material aspects with generally accepted accounting principles. So this is the highest level of assurance that we can provide you. And then further throughout this letter, it gives some other information like responsibilities of management, responsibilities of the auditor, and some different information like that. But the most important part I wanted to point out was the opinion. So, and then if we go down to page 4 and your financial statements, this is the start of what's called management's discussion and analysis. And this goes from page 4 through 16, and this is actually written by management. And it goes into a lot of detail about things that happened during the year and lines up with the audited financial statements. And it goes over things like financial highlights. It discusses the various funds the city has, as well as the current year activity in them, budgetary highlights that management finds important to point out, and also capital asset and debt administration for the year. So I won't go through here in great detail, but I'd highly recommend reading it as you have an opportunity to do so. There's great information in there. And then going to page 17, this is the start of the financial statements. And this one is called the government-wide statement of net position. This displays kind of a summarized information about the governmental activities as well as the business type activities. So you'll see a column for each here. And that information is displayed in greater detail in statements as we go along. And I also wanted to point out that the component unit, the Sandpoint Urban Renewal Agency, is displayed here. And this column is actually audited by another firm, but it is presented here because it is a component unit of the city. So structurally, though, not a lot of changes from prior years. You'll see, obviously, it lists assets as well as liabilities, and the liabilities break down between the current portion, which is liabilities that are due within the next year, versus non-current liabilities that will be paid down over time. On the next page, page 18, which actually is 18 and 19, it's displayed a little bit differently because of the size of it. So you'll see the totals are more on page 19. But this is the government-wide statement of activities. Similar presentation as the previous statement. It's broken down by governmental versus business type activities, and also displays the component unit. And this is the revenue and expense activity for the year. So again, very similar to the prior years. And you'll notice in the revenue section, a significant source of the funding is from property taxes. And then going to page 20, this is the start of the governmental financial statements, which are similar to the ones before, but these are essentially a modified accrual basis. And so you'll see some differences in this statement and the statement of net position. So two of the really big things that you'll see are not on this statement are the capital assets and the debt, because of that modified accrual basis. And this does break out into a little bit more detail. The general fund and the Parks Improvement Fund are major funds for the city, so they're presented separately. And then you'll see there's a column for other governmental funds, which includes several funds, and those are presented individually in supplemental schedules, which we'll get to. But otherwise, very similar to last year. Again, structurally, not a lot of changes. And you'll see the fund balance breaks out by different things such as restricted or assigned funds or unassigned funds in quite a bit of detail. And then going to page 21, this is essentially a reconciliation between those two statements. So where I was speaking about differences between those, this statement allows you to kind of cross-reference the differences between the two if you have a desire to look at that. Page 22. Again, this is the governmental statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances. Also by general fund, parks fund, and the other governmental funds. And then expenditures are broken out by functions. You'll see general government, public safety, highways and streets, etc. And then at the bottom, there are other financing sources or uses. And these are kind of more of the non-operating activities of the city. So transfers between funds are down here. And then things that don't necessarily recur every year, like proceeds from sale of assets, are down here. And then page 23 is the same as before. This is a reconciliation between these two income statements. So that would allow you to see the differences between those. And then going to page 24, this is the start of the proprietary funds or the business type funds that were on the statement of net position. So broken down to the water, sewer, bond payment, and sanitation funds. And one thing you'll notice is these statements right here are full accrual basis. So they will tie to the numbers in that first statement. There's no reconciliation between the two like there is for governmental funds. Page 25 and 26 are also statements for the proprietary funds. I would just point out that page 26 is a cash flow statement, which is not required for governmental funds. You'll only see this for the business type funds. But this is broken down by operating, financing, and investing activity throughout the year and gives you, quite a bit of detail about the cash flow for the year. And then that's really your main financial statements. And then if we go to page 27, this is the start of the notes to the financial statements. This goes through page 55. And note 1 is rather long and highlights the significant accounting policies of the city. So I'm not going to go through every note, but I'll highlight the ones that I think are kind of important as we go. And so if we jump to page 35, it's down there a bit. That's how long note 1 is. So at the end of note 1, talks about new pronouncements. And so I wanted to talk about these because they were required to be adopted by the city this year in accordance with governmental accounting standards. The first one, GASB 96, has to do with subscription-based information technology arrangements. And the city did adopt a capitalization threshold for these. But going forward, if there are agreements, so typically software type arrangements or intangible asset arrangements, if there are any that meet that threshold or exceed it and are for a period greater than a year, there is a requirement to capitalize those and show them on the balance sheet, similar to what we saw for leases last year. So just something to be aware of, but there weren't any of those agreements noted this year. And so it was formally adopted, but had no real impact on the city this year. And then GASB 94 has to do with public-private, public-public partnerships and availability payment arrangements. And the city, to our knowledge, is not engaged in any of these types of activities. So again, formally adopted, but no impact on the city this year. The next note I just wanted to point out to you is note 5, and this is the changes in fixed assets. And there's a table for governmental activities and a table for business activities. And I just wanted to point it out because this information is condensed in the statements we previously went through, but this provides you a lot greater detail about what those assets consist of, just for informational purposes. Going to page 39, which is note 6, discusses the bonds payable. So this is a significant portion of the debt for the city. And you'll see the bonds that are listed here, as well as the future maturities of payments that are due. So you'll see what's due each year related to these bonds. And then page 40, just wanted to point out note 8. These note 8 and 9 have to do with the lease liabilities and the leases receivable that were adopted last year with GASB 87. And so there's quite a bit of detail here, but does discuss the leasing arrangements that you'll see as assets and liabilities on the balance sheets. And then that's really what I wanted to cover for the notes. Everything else is very similar to last year, not a whole lot of changes. But if we go to page 56, 56 and 57 are budget and actual schedules. Sorry, I know it's quite a it's quite a ways down. And so these are presented for your major governmental funds. You'll see there's one for the general fund and there's one for the parks fund as well. And this lists for revenues and expenditures. There's a column for the budgeted amounts for the year and a column for what actually was received and spent and the variance with the budget. So just good information to look at for both funds. Page 58 through 61, I just wanted to point out these schedules are supplemental and they're regarding the PERSI and the FRF pension plans, and they do include historical data, so that's why they're quite a few pages, but includes information for this year. And then if we go down to page 62, I mentioned earlier that those other governmental funds were detailed further in the financial statement. So this is where that starts. This page gives a little bit of a definition to what those funds are. So you'll see there are 3 LID debt service funds and 4 special revenue funds. And then as we go to the next page, I'm actually going to mostly skip over this one because this is, again, kind of a condensed version of more detail. So I'm going to go to page 65. And you'll see this is the balance sheet for the 3 LID funds. So minimal activity, very consistent year to year. But those are listed in more detail here for the reader to see. And then the following page is also for the LID funds, and it's the revenue and expense activity for the year. And then page 66 and 67, 67 and 68 are the balance sheet for the non-major governmental or special revenue funds. And this again is broken onto 2 pages. So this statement shows the 4th fund and the total on the next page, but very consistent again to last year. And then page 69 and 70 are very similar display, and therefore the revenue and expense activity. Then if we jump to page 71, I just wanted to point out this is our report on internal controls. So during the audit, we don't test internal controls and we don't issue an opinion on them, but we do gain an understanding of the city's internal controls. In order to get an understanding of it, we do inquiries and we do walkthroughs. And from those procedures that we did during the audit, we're not aware of any items that we consider to be material weaknesses. If we had noted those, they would be reported here, but we did not for this year. And then right behind that, starting at page 73, is our report on compliance for each major federal program. So this is the single audit opinion that I mentioned in the very beginning. And if you look at the second paragraph, I'll just read that. In our opinion,
for just a second. Just jumping back to that last page, that's where any findings would be disclosed. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. Findings and internal controls. If we had noted any that we thought should be, brought to your attention, we would put those in that letter. And let me actually point you to the paragraph that gives you a conclusion on that. At the bottom of page 71, I believe that is where, yes. So towards the end of that paragraph, it says, given these limitations during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. Yes, correct. So on page 73 for the single audit, so our conclusion is, in our opinion, the city of Sandpoint complied in all material respects with the compliance requirements referred to above. which are basically the requirements of the, federal programs. That could have a direct and material effect on each of its major federal programs for the year ended September 30th, 2023. So again, the highest level of assurance that we can provide to you. Behind this is a little bit more information about the single audit. If you look at page 76, this is the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. You'll also hear this called a CFA. And this lists the expenses by by federal program for the year. And the one at the bottom, the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, was the major program and was selected and tested this year, just so you can see which one it was. And then behind that at page 78 is the schedule of findings and questioned costs for the single audit. And you'll see here, if there were material weaknesses or significant deficiencies we had identified, we would report them here. None here as well. And then at the bottom, it does list that federal program as the major program for the year, that coronavirus fund. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was the governance letter. Sarah, I don't know, did you want to pull this up, or do you want me to just talk about it?
It was in the packet, so it was like the second.
Oh, okay.
page, So.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So in this letter, we issue this at the end of the audit every year. This wraps up a lot of the communication that we have throughout the year, goes over the audit and the results. And the part I wanted to point out is the significant risks identified. And it says we have, identified the following significant risks, which are management override of controls and improper revenue recognition. And I just wanted to clarify for you what that means. And so that means that during the planning of the audit, we identify those as potential risks that could exist. It doesn't mean that we did identify those during the audit. Again, if we had identified any issues of that sort, those would be in that letter that we just went over a few minutes ago. So this is merely stating that this is identified as a potential risk. And because of those, we evaluate how to perform our tests during the audit around these risks. And so hopefully that provides a little bit more clarification on what that sentence means. I know it looks a little confusing on its own. And that's really everything that I had to go over with you all, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Mr. Mayor, I have.
Councilwoman Duquette.
I'm just wondering, this is all new to me. If you could briefly explain the process used to come up with this report, I guess, and all the numbers and.
Yeah, let me try to do that and let me know if this answers your question. So when we start the audit, we're provided with a trial balance from the city, and that provides in really great detail balances for all the various accounts. So for the balance sheet, for the income statement, and then during the audit, we perform certain tests, again, that we identify during our planning. Audits are risk-based, and we perform those tests to get that reasonable assurance over the balances in the financial statements. And then at the end of the audit, that trial balance is used to assemble these financial statements. I don't know if that answers your question.
What do you mean by tests?
We'll do different things like look at bank statements and test the reconciliations. We will ask management to pull invoices for accounts payable to test the accuracy of accounts payable. We'll request debt statements or sometimes confirmations to verify the balances in debt. There's quite a bit that goes into it. I mean, we look at a lot of the areas on the balance sheet, but those are some examples of tests.
Laura, this is Jeremy, the mayor. It's my understanding you actually have access to our software and you go in and look at a whole random variety of numbers and factors and purchase orders and other things. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. We are able to have an auditor access to the software, which is great.
No hiding anything. I had a question, Laura. So the significant risk identified, did I understand you correctly that you look at our accounting practices and management and you identify those risks going into the audit? Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So you know, like what to really have your spider senses out for?
Yeah, pretty much. We identify that those are potential risks, mainly due to the nature of financial records, financial statements, and you know, going into the audit.
Any other questions, council? I know that's fairly dense, and I'm sure you'll be going through the financial records again with a whole new appreciation.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
I did want to extend, if you guys do have any detailed questions, please call me at any time. There's a lot to go through and big numbers, but they drill down to smaller numbers. So that, and then also in that same, I guess, ClearGov transparency, you can find the fund summaries. So in here, you can actually go into the general fund and find the same information, but drill down like you're used to doing. So again, in there has that. And then also the funding sources here, it breaks down by the funding sources.
And Sarah, just for the council and the public's benefit, as far as you know, are there many communities or municipalities in Idaho that have such a transparent, exposed, interactive system?
We were the first to implement this in the state of Idaho. I do know that the actual state of Idaho now has something similar, that they're, especially with the Transparency Idaho House bill that was passed several years ago. They're right now still ramping that up and getting basically all cities and counties information to put into that to make it live, which is going to be super helpful in the future. But as far as I know, I'm not sure very many other ones that have has used it the way we have used it. Usually if you see it, you'll see a budget book. I like to use it in using all of our financial things, the quarterlies, I mean, it just every time something is available, I like to put it out here. So.
Well, thank you. And I'm sure the public and I know the council appreciates it. So thank you. Any more comments or questions on this? Any members of the public wish to comment on this item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for that report. There's no action required on it. We will move on to new business, 8A. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Enjoy the sunset. Under new business and for the final item on the agenda, council will consider approval of the fire department's desire to use a web-based code compliance platform called the Compliance Engine. I will now yield the floor to our fire chief.
How's everybody doing tonight? Well, yeah, let me just get to where I can share this over real quick. All right. So all this was in your packet. This is what we're bringing to you tonight is it's a web-based platform called the Compliance Engine. It's by a company called Brycer. And what it does is it helps us to track testing, certification, annual testing, things like that of automatic fire sprinklers in the city. Right now we do everything manually and it is very cumbersome. We will go out and do our inspections. We have to get in touch with whoever the vendors are that do the inspections. They're usually pretty good about sending us the hard copies. Sometimes we have to track them down. So we think that this is going to be our next step to digitizing this, this evolution. It is of no cost to the city. They generate, Brycer basically generates their revenue from the vendors that go out and do the inspections. Some of the vendors will pass, it's like a $20 filing fee or something like that. Some vendors will pass it on to the customer. Some won't because they're more engaged because more customers know that they're out of compliance. So that's just kind of what we want to do. Just a quick background on them. Compliance Engine is a simple interface tool for fire departments, water departments, and building departments. Track and drive the inspection and testing compliance and to reduce false alarm activity. And to provide a path forward for a safer community. It provides a secure cloud environment in which third-party contractors that inspect, test, and maintain the fire protection systems submit their records via the Bricer's web portal directly to the fire department. This is going to facilitate more efficient review and tracking follow-up process for us, just like I explained a little bit before. Bricer also provides proactive services in addition to the web-based technology. That includes hard and soft copy notifications. They also do call services. They do analytics for us to just kind of tell us our percentage of pass-fail rates, who's in compliance, who's not. The end result is just more of a comprehensive and accurate aggregation of the data to which the buildings and which types of systems they have. They do they do automatic fire sprinklers. They do the fire suppression system over range hoods, things like that. There is not, in the city right now, we do not have a single platform that tracks all of that. So of course it's manual. So sometimes things can fall through the cracks, and the fire service, we want to shoot for 100% compliance. That is part of what we do. If we're not here to prevent the fires, then why are we here? You know, so that's kind of our take on that. It helps to track deficiencies. If people need repairs, it sends them reminders to let them know that they need to make the repairs, and then it notifies us when the repairs are made, so we can go out and do a reinspection on those. When we go to do to make sure the repairs have been done, we go, and when we go into different buildings that have these type of systems, we're checking to make sure that they were inspected. It's all done by a third-party vendor. We don't do the actual inspections ourselves. We do the initial, if somebody was building a building, we'll go and do the final sign off to make sure that it works properly and it meets all of our requirements. But following on, we just ensure that it's been inspected by a third party. The compliance, again, we're trying to get 100% compliance, and we think this is going to be our avenue to get to that point. We're not anywhere near 100% compliant right now, which is disheartening, but we can get there. So what, if you guys have any questions, I can answer questions. If not, then we just seek your approval for us to go ahead and move forward with utilizing this platform.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the council on this request?
Mr. Mayor, I do.
Councilwoman Duquette.
I just noticed that it said that the client is going, which would be the city, prepares the hardware, the equipment, the software, the installation, and the network, and that doesn't cost anything
No, ma'am.
to do.
We're
already got all that.
we're ready to go. And I think what they were talking about on that is our records management system. We're in the current one that we have right now is emergency reporting, and we'll be shifting out of that into probably another platform here in the next year or so called First Due. And they're already compatible with that platform as well. So there wouldn't be, they're very familiar with working with it. So it wouldn't be any cost. We just get on the phone and give them their access, and they're pulling our data out. And that's how they generate their spreadsheet for their platform, basically, is how that works. And then they're contacting all of the vendors that do the inspections in our area. Most of them come out of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. So they're not any, I don't think there's only one up here that does it. So.
And these are on new buildings?
These are on all buildings.
All buildings.
Yes, ma'am.
And so should the Selkirk Fire Rescue and EMS reconfigure, does this have anything, is it going to be the same, or will it?
This will stay the same. This is, when it was prepared, the implementation agreement was prepared for Selkirk Fire, but each individual agency the city of Sandpoint will have to agree to be in a contract with them. just as would West Side and Sagal all individually.
Use it.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the council?
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilman Schreiber.
Yeah, so, we talked about this when it was in front of the JPA board
Sure.
too. So I guess it's kind of a follow-up question to what, Councilwoman DeKalb just said, and that's the implementation of it, across multiple fire districts, if that were to change, as she mentioned. So, it sounds like, yeah, we will be in a 3-year contract with this company.
This company here, we can, I believe in this contract here, we can pull out anytime we want. I think it doesn't cost us anything to do that.
Okay.
They're basically, they take our information and whatever reports that we can gather, and it builds over time. So we're thinking hopefully in about 6 months, we can identify every place that should be in that system.
Mhm.
And then it's like full on from there. It's being used in Boise, and I believe it's also being used in Lewiston. I think McCall was on the list. Again, don't quote me on that one, but I know they provided a quick list of different cities and stuff that they use, but their list is a lot bigger than that. They have many more municipalities and cities, large and small, that are in their umbrella.
Okay, yeah.
Make it easier.
Oh, much easier.
Yeah, nice.
Any other questions from the council? I have one. Chief, throwing a dart at the wall, what percentage of all of these fire suppression systems that need to be inspected would you guess reside in Sandpoint city limits versus the overall Selkirk fire? Is it gonna be like 90, 95%?
Yeah, easily 90%. Each one, the city of Dover has a couple
Yeah,
over
sure.
there. Sagal does have some over there, with some of their new buildings, or they're having to put in suppression systems, things like that. The majority of it is in the city limits, though. Yeah, absolutely.
And is there any concern about data transportation once, if we were to close this out?
No.
Any data they send us, we get to keep,
Right.
hold on to?
Yeah, it's our data. They're basically just organizing it and keeping it, so we can pull up a dashboard. We can see, at any given time where we're at with our inspections as far as those businesses that have those suppression systems on them.
Gotcha. And I guess the last question, and I didn't see it, does it mandate if, for example, a restaurant owner, a business that had one of these suppression systems wanted to use someone else, can they still go with someone else or go to the fire department directly? Or do they have to use this system?
So the business owner does not use this system. It is the contractor that comes in to do the inspection is the one that uses it. They're the ones that do the inspection, and when their paperwork is done, they upload it to Brycer, and then we can see it on our, on the data side of it.
So I guess, let me rephrase that then.
Okay.
They have to use these contractors.
They can use any contractor.
Okay.
All contractors will be required to, it does, if they come from New Mexico, they're still
interface with
gonna
the
have to
system.
upload it into this system.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions from council? If not, any questions from the public or comments from the public?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution accepting the compliance engine agreement with Brycer LLC. This will be a roll call vote. Oh, no, sorry.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Dick, second by Councilman Walker. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Roll,
Yes.
Counselor Schreiber,
Yes.
Counselor Welker.
Yes.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Duquette.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, motion passes.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. With no further business on the agenda, this meeting is now adjourned at 6:43 PM.